The sound of breaking glass is one you never forget. It's like the world shattering in front of you. And that's exactly how my day began. I was sitting in my car on a leafy stride in Oak Ridge Park, a suburb so quiet you could hear sprinklers click across the lawns, when a man with a badge and a baton decided I didn't belong there. His name was Officer Brad Keller. My name, at least the one he never cared to ask for, was Leah Morgan, the new governor of this state. But in that moment, I was just another black woman, parked on a street where someone thought I didn't deserve to be. I'd moved more boxes in the past week than I had in the past 10 years. This brick colonial house with its white pillars wasn't a dream. It was a compromise, closer to the Capitol, closer to my staff, closer to the noise of politics I could never quite escape. That afternoon, though, I'd carved out a rare moment of peace. My Lincoln sedan was pulled up just a few feet past a neighbor's driveway to let the moving truck back in. I had the windows down reading a message from an old teacher who used to tell me, "You're going to do something big someday." For a second, I let myself believe I'd made it. Then came the knock on the glass. Hard, sharp, jarring. I looked up into a face sunburned and tight with rage. Crew cut, polo shirt, a thick neck like he'd swallowed all his anger whole and it had nowhere left to go. "You can't park here," he barked. "This is a private drive." "Hi," I said, keeping my voice warm, palms up like I was holding a fragile truce. "Sorry for the inconvenience. The moving trucks are right behind me. We'll be out of your way in just a minute." His eyes flicked to the house behind me, then back to my skin, and something inside him seemed to harden. "You're moving in here," he spat, like the words tasted foul. "That's right," I said, still trying to smile. "I'm Leah. I'll be your new neighbor." He leaned closer, voice dropping into a hiss. "People like you think you can just park wherever you want, break the rules. Not on my street. People like you, it's a phrase you feel in your gut more than your ears. My whole life had been a series of rooms where I was the first or the only. Boardrooms, courtrooms, campaign rallies. You learn to smile. You learn to breathe through it. "Sir," I said, softer now but firmer, "I'll move as soon as the truck clears. There's no need for that kind of language." That's when he dropped the smile and the pretense. "I'm a police officer," he hissed, pulling out a collapsible baton. "I know the law. I know how to deal with people who think they're above it." "Wait," was all I got out before the baton swung. The glass didn't crack. It exploded, raining down on my lap, my hair, my skin. Tiny cuts bloomed on my hands. The sweet smell of magnolia outside was replaced by the metallic tang of fear inside. For a heartbeat, the street was silent, except for the beep-up beep of the moving truck. Then came doors opening, footsteps, phones held up, the beginning of a crowd. "You're under arrest for illegal parking and resisting a lawful order," Keller barked, raising his voice for the cameras he now saw pointing at him. "Resisting," I said, glass glittering on my blazer. I was sitting in my car. "Out," he shouted, yanking the door open from the inside. I unbuckled my seatbelt, slowly brushing the glass from my lap like snow. My heart was a hammer in my chest, but my body moved with the deliberate grace I'd learned in endless debates and hearings. I stepped out, heels crunching on the fragments of my shattered window, and stood tall. "Officer," I said low enough that only he could hear, "you are making a catastrophic mistake." "Hands behind your back," he ordered, snapping out the handcuffs. As he clicked the steel around my wrists far too tight, biting into bone, I stared straight ahead. I'd spent years writing laws about accountability, de-escalation, use of force. Now I was living the violation I tried to prevent for others. "Let's see some ID," he muttered, patting me down, still playing to the cameras. "It's in my bag," I said evenly. He grabbed my purse off the seat, spilling lipstick and pens onto the roof of my car like evidence of some imaginary crime. Then he found my wallet, flipped it open, and froze. He was expecting a license from some other neighborhood, maybe a misdemeanor. Instead, staring up at him was the seal of the state and the words, "Leah Morgan, Governor." His face went pale, lips moving, but no sound coming out. The wallet slipped from his hand and clattered onto the metal roof. For a second, I thought he might pass out. "Oh, God," he whispered, fumbling for the key to the cuffs. "Ma'am, Governor, I didn't know." "That's the problem," I said quietly. "You didn't know, and you didn't care to know. You just saw what you wanted to see." The crowd had gone silent, a dozen phones capturing the spectacle, of a man unraveling in real time. The power dynamic flipped like a switchblade. He couldn't get the key in the lock, his hands were shaking so badly. "Please," he said, voice cracking. It was a misunderstanding. "I have a family. Please don't do this." Sirens cut through the air, two squad cars and an unmarked sedan screeching to a stop. Chief Ramos got out of the sedan, his face thundercloud dark. He didn't look at Keller. He looked at me, at the cuffs on my wrists, and his jaw tightened. In one motion, he snatched the key from Keller's trembling hands, popped the cuffs, and took a step back. "Governor Morgan," he said, voice low and urgent, "I am so sorry. This is inexcusable." I rubbed my wrist, slowly feeling the sting where the steel had bitten in, then turned to Keller. He'd gone from red to gray, holding out his badge and gun like a penitent child offering back stolen candy. "Brad Keller," Chief Ramos said coldly, "you're on leave effective immediately. Badge weapon back of the car, now." And just like that, the man who'd smashed my window was being led away, stripped of the symbols he thought made him untouchable. He glanced back once, eyes pleading. I didn't give him anger, just disappointment, the kind that cuts deeper. The videos went viral before sunset. Every second of glass and steel, every lie he'd tried to tell, every moment of reversal. By morning, Keller's history of complaints was plastered across the news. Fired within 24 hours. For a lot of people, that felt like justice. For me, it was a start. A week later, I stood behind a podium at the Capitol wearing a simple navy dress and a new fire in my eyes. I told the room full of cameras. 1 week ago, I wasn't Governor Morgan. I was just a black woman moving into a new neighborhood. And for one of my neighbors, that was a crime worthy of violence and a false arrest. The hush in the room was deep enough to fall into. I kept going. The man who did this to me has been fired. But accountability for one man isn't enough. What saved me wasn't the law. It wasn't decency. It was a title. Justice should not be a privilege. It must be a right. I announced a new task force with power to audit departments, retrain officers, and publish misconduct. We'd change use of force standards, invest in community policing, give teeth to civilian review boards. The badge would be a symbol of public trust again, not a shield for private prejudice. The applause was polite at first, then thunderous. But I wasn't thinking about applause. I was thinking about my wrist, the glass, the smell of magnolia, and fear. About all the people who didn't have a governor's ID in their wallet to protect them. These days, I sit by the new window in my study, sometimes looking out at the street. The glass is flawless, but I can still see the ghost of that afternoon, how quickly peace can turn to chaos, how thin the barrier really is. Keller's old house sold quietly. A new family moved in, kids' laughter spilling across the lawns like sunlight. Life goes on, but I know the work's not over. It's slow uphill, full of pushback, but real. And every time I feel tired, I remember the sting of those cuffs and the sight of that baton, and I find my resolve again. So tell me, have you ever watched someone's status change the entire outcome of a situation? Do you think real accountability is possible without privilege? Or is the system too deep to change from within? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because this story isn't just mine, it's a mirror. And what we do with it is up to all of us.